Podcaster Joe Rogan is getting real tired of people thinking that he's a conservative.
Like, that's the kind of shit that keeps me from being a Republican.
Yeah.
It's only one of the kind of, there's a bunch of shit that keeps you from being a Republican.
Yeah.
But that's one of the, like, people will say, like, oh, you know, you're a secret conservative. I'm like, you could suck my dick. You don't know what the you're talking about. I'm so far away from being a Republican.
Yeah.
Just because I believe in the Second Amendment and just because I support the military and just because I support police.
Yeah.
Like, I was on welfare as a kid. I think it's important. I think having a social safety net is
great.
crucial.
Yes.
It's crucial.
Yeah.
We should help each other. We're supposed to be one big community. I'm a bleeding heart liberal when it comes to a lot of shit.
There it is.
I just also believe in discipline and hard work.
Yes.
That's where I fall into the more conservative side.
And
but
that's
I'm
okay.
But I'm not a person who wants to like keep all my money and not pay taxes. Like, people have accused me of moving to Texas because I didn't want to pay taxes. No, I moved to Texas because I want fucking freedom.
I'm not a Republican. In fact, I am so far away from being a Republican. How dare you call me a conservative? I moved to Texas for freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from what? You answer that question. He doesn't really get into it, does he? But okay, look. So before I dive into more of this, let me just point out something that I don't think a lot of people understand. Maybe you do. I'm sure a lot of you do. The fact that, look, Republicans aren't conservative. Conservatives aren't Republicans. You can see that from a lot of economic positions that are taken by Republican voters versus what the party supports. I mean, the party is actually very pro-corporate and primarily exists to help rich people like Joe Rogan, who did say, "Oh, what are you talking about? It's not like I don't want to, pay my taxes or anything like that. But let me move to a very low tax state, as in no taxes." Okay. But look, polls do show the majority of Republicans support progressive policy positions, for example, raising the minimum wage. Now, look, unfortunately, on that issue, Republicans are still like, let's raise it to like $11 an hour. Let's give them a little bit of a raise, but not too much. We're very, very concerned about corporations, or what they consider to be mom and pop shops. That's the main concern that they have against raising the minimum wage. All right. Now, on other things, like, for example, healthcare, 56% of Republicans, it's a majority, they support the Joe Biden healthcare plan. You know what that is? The public option. Oh, weird. A majority of Republicans, 56%, support what Joe Biden would do to healthcare, or at least what he ran on, not what he's actually, doing, which is nothing. Okay. How about on Medicaid? By the way, all Republicans voted against, or would theoretically vote against, a public option. And by the way, also voted against the ACA, which wasn't even a public option at all. It was their own plan. Now, speaking of, again, the ACA, the Republicans also voted against being able to expand Medicaid in a lot of different states. Not all Republican governors were against opening up the state to doing Medicaid, to expanding Medicaid to the poorest Americans. But Republicans have in Congress tried to get rid of the ACA, undo it, which is the thing that facilitated the ability for states to expand Medicaid. On prescription drugs, 70% of Republican voters say the government must do more to reduce the cost of prescription drugs. That's Republicans. Now, guess how Republican congressmen voted against any bill, Build Back Better, that would have actually lowered the cost of prescription drugs? All of them, all Republicans. Half of them, by the way, half of Republican voters, and I found this interesting, would actually support a bill that would allow Medicare to negotiate prescription drugs with the pharmaceutical companies. Half of Republicans would say, yeah, I would support it even if every single one of my Republican congressmen, every single Republican voted against it, I would still be okay with it if it passed on a party line vote. You know why? Because it actually helps me. That's fascinating. Now, on the local level, Floridians did actually And I just cited how nationally a lot of Republicans are like, I'm not in favor of the $15 minimum wage. But wait, voters in Florida voted to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. South Dakotans voted to legalize medical and recreational cannabis. Missourians voted to expand Medicaid to adults who earn under $18,000 a year. Arizonans voted to tax the rich, to fund public schools. So those are red states that are doing progressive things, progressive economic policy. And guess what? That is because it's what the voters want. Now, of course, when you look at the parties on social things, now that's where there's a lot of differences here. Same-sex marriage, abortion rights. In fact, Joe Rogan is going to go into that.
It's not just abortion rights, but now they're going after gay marriage too, which is so strange to me. Because gay marriage is not silly. It's marriage. It's marriage from people that are homosexual, and it's for them. It's important. They want it. They want to affirm their love and their relationship. And the fact that they're going after that now almost makes me feel like they want us to fight. They want to divide us in the best way they can, and that this is the best way for them to keep pulling off all the bullshit they're doing behind the scenes, is to get us to fight over things like gay marriage, or get us to fight over things like abortion. Or it's just like,
Yes.
why
Yes.
are you removing freedom?
If you're going to say that marriage is an important cultural institution to the fabric of America,
Right.
you can't remove it from Americans.
Right.
You can't go and say, this is important, this is what we do, we create a family and we love one another and this is how we
Right.
express our love, and then say, these Americans can't do that shit.
It's so homophobic, because you're saying there's something wrong with being homosexual. By saying that you are opposed to gay marriage, you're saying you're opposed to gay people.
Ding, ding, ding. Here we have a broken clock moment. The guy just realized Republicans hate gay people. And that Republicans also hate freedom, when it comes to abortion. Hey, guess what, guys? Republicans have literally always been against abortion and marriage equality. In fact, the plan to get the conservatives in the Supreme Court to overturn Roe, that was 50 years in the making. Decades. If you knew anything at all about Republicans, you would know that. But here's the problem with rich people like Joe Rogan. The money blinds you. And that's what it is. All they look at is, hey, look, Republicans, they don't really want to raise my taxes. I mean, look, it's not like I don't want to pay my taxes or anything like that. But you wouldn't mind a tax cut, would you? Of course you wouldn't. And at the end of the day, it's all about me. Oh, hey, Republicans don't care if I spread a disease around because I don't want to wear a mask. That's real freedom. Republicans will, make it so that I don't have to get a vaccine. Life-saving. They could save the lives of people around me. You know what? Freedom. Okay, what about the people who can't afford to get sick? In this country, remember, we don't have a universal healthcare system. We don't have socialized healthcare, okay? We brutalize our own people by forcing them to pay for healthcare. No other country does this. Out of pocket, by the way. Other countries actually pay for healthcare by making sure that everybody pays into a pool using their tax money, and then they get benefits whenever they need it. They can go into a doctor, they can see a doctor whenever they need to without paying money out of pocket. But in this country, we don't do that. Not only do we allow people to go into massive debt or die when they get sick, but we also allow people like Joe Rogan to flout mandates like masks and go around and spread disease unchecked to the people that can't afford to get sick. Or in the gun issue, allowing people with serious mental health issues to easily get their hands on guns, but not allow them to easily get mental health care if they need it. So that's the problem. But people like Rogan understand who they are. They are selfish and deeply uninformed. Now he says, what are you talking about? I'm not a selfish person. But you really, when you look into it, a lot of your so-called stances on freedom mean you actually don't care if what you're doing affects other people. And so, as for being super uninformed, not knowing what Republicans actually stand for. Because when they say something about their alleged positions, understand the vast majority of the time, they're lying. They're lying about being in favor of freedom. They want freedom for corporations and rich people, not for you. Now, how else, by the way, if you haven't drank the Republican Kool-Aid and listened and absorbed their talking points, believe their talking points, can you be upset about banning gay marriage and abortion while also saying that you support somebody like Ron DeSantis for president, which Joe Rogan has? DeSantis thinks gay people are groomers, supports a bill to ban abortion in his state. Texas also has one of the most restrictive abortion bans in the country. He's like, I moved to Texas for freedom. Really? Freedom? Maybe freedom for rich people like Joe Rogan, but not for women. Not for anyone with a uterus. It involves trans men as well. Non-binary folks. But of course, you know, Joe Rogan, a little transphobic. Finally, look, I could forgive people working 12 hours a day for not keeping up with the news. But Joe Rogan's a podcaster. He talks for a living. Meaning that theoretically he should, if he's going to wade into political issues, he should at least know what the fuck he's talking about before he opens his mouth.